For those of you who are on who don't know me, my name is Courtney Luce. I am the Director of Customer Success here at Donade. You also just probably see my face a lot, even if you don't know exactly who I am, just through emails and all sorts of communication. So nice to officially meet you if I haven't already. And very excited for today's webinar. Like you've probably already seen, we're going to be talking about corporate engagement, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. So we're really excited to dive into that this week. So not only do we have a webinar today about corporate engagement, but we also have a webinar tomorrow with our founder, Steve Roseman, to talk about how we perceive the difference between a sponsor and a partner. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, be sure to join us tomorrow at 11. All of these are live, so you're watching me live, but we also record everything and we'll send you recordings as long as you register. And we try to post those on our channels too, so keep a lookout for that. Again, for those of you who don't know me, and I more say this with webinars like today, just to give a little bit of background of who I am and what I used to do. I worked in nonprofit fundraising, for many years, and so I did so much corporate engagement. It was a big part of my role. And it was honestly probably my favorite part of my role, is building relationships with those partners. So I think that plays into why I love talking about this kind of stuff to nonprofit leaders, especially just to talk about kind of the do's and don'ts of building these relationships, not just with your supporters, but especially your corporate partners. I've also talked a lot to corporations too, and what they're looking for in a nonprofit partner. So I feel like we've gotten kind of both sides of the coin there. So I'm excited to share a little bit of that with everybody today. But if you're just joining us, please feel free to chat any questions that you have throughout the webinar. We will get to them at the end and potentially even try to answer some questions throughout the conversation as well. But just to give you a little heads up, we will start out and actually showing you how you can engage with corporations in Donade. So of course, I'm going to tie in our technology just to show you how you can utilize the platform when you are trying to find partners or engaging with your current partners. And at the end, I'm going to throw in a little bit of tips, or a few tips that I have heard from corporations and what I've experienced myself when I'm building partnerships with corporations, so that you have a few takeaways that you can leave here and actually use when you are trying to find your business partners. So I will go ahead and get started by sharing my screen. I'm going to share what a corporate profile looks like in Donade. So let me pull that up really quickly. All right, so you should be seeing the Hot Rooms business page in Donade. So if you don't know, the businesses can also have profiles inside of Donade's platform. So if you're a nonprofit, if you're seeing this webinar, you probably know that nonprofits also have profiles in our system to start fundraising campaigns, engage with their donors, find volunteers, do all sorts of things. But businesses also have the opportunity to have profiles in here as well. So all of the businesses that we have, or you can say partner with in our platform, already have a knack for just doing good. So they are in our system because they want to make an impact. That is great news for you, because you know when you are requesting engagement, these businesses have already said, hey, we care about making an impact in the community. We really do want to give back. So you already kind of have that. You know that they're willing to at least consider a partnership with you. Now, you can tell a lot by a company in their profile in our system. So even just right off the bat, you can see how many employees and followers they have, and you can see how much money they have donated and volunteer hours they have given. So as we see here, we can probably assume that the Hot Room does a lot of giving, and this year has been crazy. So they might do some volunteer hours as well. COVID has kind of changed that a little bit, but at least in their current state, they do a lot more giving than they do volunteering. So utilizing that information to decide how you're going to interact with them. As we scroll down, we can see all of their news updates of what just kind of they do as a company and how they impact their community. You can even see the different organizations they support to see if you align with any of them at all, and campaigns too. So you can actually see the fundraising campaigns or the peer-to-peer campaigns that they are hosting right now in different events and volunteer opportunities that they have on behalf of nonprofits. So like I said, you can see a lot with the profile. You can even see what they request engagement for. And this piece of information is so crucial when you are going to request engagement. And I'll show that to you in a second, because you don't want to request for something that they don't accept. So that is key in building that partnership. You really want to listen and look for the kinds of things that they want to get out there, but how they want to engage with you. That's all about building that relationship, right? So if they accept requests for sponsorships, in-kind items, and volunteers, and you request engagement for a grant, that's not going to align with what they want to do. So you're way less likely to actually get that engagement, of course, but then also that just isn't proper relationship building when you're going to do it anyway. So even for future engagement purposes, it might hinder you than help. So to request engagement is very easy. All you have to do is actually press this request engagement button and fill out your nonprofit information. Now, the great thing is if you already have a Donate account, this is pre-filled for you. So I'll show what that looks like. When I sign in, we now have the different organizations that I am a admin for. I can select one of those, select the kind of request I want. So we'll say in-kind item, say a little bit more about the request, but then you can also indicate if it's an event or not. So here you can just put in more event information so that the company is aware of what that partnership could look like, and then submit it from there. Now on their back end, they then can approve or deny your request and reach out to you either way to let you know if they need more information for you or if it's just not a good fit. All right. So what this looks like then on the back end for the nonprofit is there is actually a tab that you get that says find companies. Now, this is one of my favorite things because not only do you, like normally you can search companies on the search page, find companies that way, but in your nonprofit admin, so you're logged in as a nonprofit admin, you're in your dashboard, you get this portal where you can just see every single company that is in the system and request engagement with them right here. Now, I would, of course, still advise to view their profile so that you can actually see who they are, what they're up to, the kinds of different things that they want to support. But to make it easier, if you're just looking for in-kind items for your event, you can go, okay, who's all the people who accept in-kind items and just request engagement right here. So very, very easy to do that way. Another way that companies can engage with your organization is through, like I said, peer-to-peer campaigns. So I want to show you one of those. So a company that is in our system can choose to become a fundraiser on your behalf. So that's what peer-to-peer is, right? But not only do they get their own fundraising page that they can ask for donations, have their own goals for on behalf of your organization, but they can also engage their employees as well. So they can create different teams based on different departments or however they want to do it. And their employees can have their own fundraising pages, all money going directly to your organization. So not only is it, of course, getting you more money, which is very important, but it's also getting more eyes on your organization and the potential to get some more passionate people for your cause. So this is a really cool feature. Sometimes companies don't know that they have the opportunity to do this. So we always advise that nonprofits in our system are going to their current partners and saying, hey, this is a really easy way that you can help support us. So this is a really cool tool that they can use. All right. Now I am going to stop sharing my screen, so stop showing the tech and just really dive in now to some tips that I have learned from just being in the space, fundraising, having partners, and then now we, as you see, have companies in our system. So we get to talk to companies all the time and ask them specific questions like, what do you look for in a nonprofit partner? And so some tips I've come up with are just some quick ones. It's not end all be all. We even have some webinars about some, or past webinars about some corporate engagement stuff. So be sure to look for those, or ask those questions too. So everybody has my contact information. Please email me if you have any questions. But the first tip I would say is communicate. So that seems like it's really simple and easy, but I have seen so many organizations not necessarily intentionally do this wrong, but not know that they're not communicating enough. I think a big barrier is that they don't want to be annoying. Most fundraisers that I talk to, it's that. So they don't want to over communicate their mission and then make people pull out. In a lot of cases, and I don't think I've ever talked to a company that said they talk to me too much. I think in every case that I've talked to companies is they don't know enough about what you're doing. So I think, at least when I was in that seat as a fundraiser, you're really invested in your organization. Obviously, you know the ins and outs. You're there every single day. It's what you do. It's who you are. So you know everything that's going on. But, and this is true for your supporters too, your supporters may only know you through a certain avenue. They may have a kid who's in one of your programs, or they may come to that one event every single year. They may be friends with your founder. So they have very different views of what your organization does, but they may not know the full picture. So I never think that there is harm in communicating as much as you can to get that full picture across. One thing I love about Donate is you as a nonprofit get that profile that helps you do that. So you have that profile page that you can have all different campaigns lined up. So you're showing the programs that you have, you're showing what you're asking money for. You get to share your wins with missions accomplished. You get to show all the events that you have coming up, your volunteer. I mean, you get the picture. So with one page, with one link, you can show a lot of what you're doing. So that's one part of why I like Donate a lot. But another way you can do that is just making sure you're staying in front of them. So through emailing them, scheduling coffees, right now might be a virtual coffee, getting on the phone with them, just not forgetting that they're there, and in hindsight, not letting them forget that you're there either, because I think that they appreciate being able to know what you're doing. A big one too is ask them what you can do for them. So a partnership is a partnership, right? It's not just, hey, and we'll talk about this tomorrow actually, it's not just we're giving you money, we're helping support you. It's not a one-way street. I think it's really important to make that a two-way street. So if they're having local events that they invite you to, go to them. Be sure that you're supporting them in so many different ways. If it's the hot room yoga, go take a class there, have an event there so that your people are seeing what they're doing for you, advertise for them, share their website, share what they're doing for you with everybody. But also don't just assume what they want from you, ask them. I mean, straight up, get on the phone with them and just ask, what can we be doing more of to help you and your business out? I don't think that happens enough. And so they would be very impressed that you were asking that. And then of course, that builds a better relationship, which leads to probably more money for you. So more at least support for your organization. Kind of what goes a part of that is one of the best pieces of advice I got when I was in fundraising, specifically when we're talking about partners or sponsorships, is go to the business that you're asking for money from and saying, okay, here's what I need. So I need $5,000 for this event. What would we need to do for you to make you support us? So what would make $5,000 worth it for you? So again, I think so many organizations just put a ton of logos on signs at their event and like call it a day, or add them in a program, do a social media post. But that might not even be what they want. So I think they would find it really impressive if you came to them and said, okay, if you did give us $5,000 for this event, what would you want? Where would you want your logo? What kind of exposure would you want? They might want to be a guest speaker at the event. Let them do it. or they might, and depending on, of course, money and cost of things. So the higher the sponsor, the more you're going to do for them. But that just goes way more into what we've already been talking about in communication, is just keeping that communication line open and keeping it a partnership, not just a one-way street. Another bit, this is a common one, is just give them options. So give them different options to support you, not just an event. So I'm always a big proponent of like a sponsorship menu. So showing what they get if they choose to be a 3-year partner with you, if they choose to be just an event sponsor, if they choose to be an event sponsor for 2 events or all 3, kind of like what a menu that they can seriously choose, the cost of what each one would be and what they get from it. But the biggest thing, again, I'm going to say, is just having that conversation with them. So, okay, they're telling you that they want to be a sponsorship at 2 events, asking them, okay, what would make you so excited to be a sponsor at these 2 events? Outside of you loving our mission and wanting to do good, what else can we do to make you even extra excited to support? The last one is tricky, but understanding that not every company is going to relate to your cause. Not every one of them is going to want to support your cause, and that's okay. Givers give, we say that all the time. And a lot of companies have to make hard decisions of cause types that they give to, or different organizations that they pour their energy into, and that doesn't make them bad for not choosing your cause or your organization. It's okay. Even thinking about you personally, you probably have some causes that speak to you a little bit differently than others. That does not make you bad for choosing to support animals over homelessness, but it's just let people give how they want to give. And I think all of this can relate not only to corporate partnerships, but really just donor engagement in general. So the more you're asking those questions, the more that you are building those relationships, the more you're going to find out about your partners and be able to communicate with them well. And what kind of goes along with that too is let them give how they want to give, but also if how they choose to give is through volunteer hours or through helping market your event or through peer-to-peer, anything like that, even if it's not a check in your hand or money in your hand, let them support you how they want to support you. Because the second you start to have the attitude of like, oh, well, that's not what I asked for, that's going to come across in a relationship and it's just not going to end well. So you never know what can come from 2 hours of volunteering. That person can eventually become your biggest advocate and get you a ton of attention, which turns into dollars. So never ever have the, I don't want to say bad attitude, but wrong attitude against how people are choosing to give, because they're still supporting you, and that's what matters. All right. I think I'm done with my corporate partnership soapbox is what I'll call it. So I will leave the last 10 minutes or so open for questions if you have them. Please chat them. You're also able to unmute yourself if you would rather talk. I think that is a fine idea too. And if there are any brave faces that want to show your face, you can turn your camera on too and ask me any questions that you have. So I'll leave that open now. And I'm fine with silence waiting. Thank you, Angela. All right. Well, from the silence, I can tell nobody has questions, but if you think of anything or you just didn't want to ask on here, please email me. It's just Courtney@donade.com. Or, I mean, reach out to any of our social media. However you found us, reach out to us. We'll get back to you. We'll be excited to talk to you one-on-one, even to talk about your corporate strategy and how you're engaging with your partners. But thanks everybody for joining us. I hope you got some good information. Don't forget to join us tomorrow and we talk about the difference between a partner and a sponsor with our founder, Steve Roseman. That is, again, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time, but we will have recordings for that as well. All right, everybody have a great day and week. Talk to you soon.